Hi y'all, doing a tag today. So today I am doing the Get to Know the Romance Reader tag. This was originally created by Bree Hill in a blog post, and I will link that blog in the description below. I saw it on the Naughty Librarian and it looks like fun, so I thought I'd give it a shot. There are 10 questions. It's finally cool enough down here in the deep south where we can spend some time outside and get some yard work done and just, not be cooped up in the house. Oh my God, will you just die already? So the first question, what is your romance origin story, or how you came to read your first romance novel? I absolutely do not recommend my first romance novel to be your first romance novel. I mostly read science fiction, and I came across a list of banned books when I was in early college, and I thought, hey, why not try one of those? So the story of O, I would absolutely not recommend. So it's a classic only because it got so much press. This was 1954, and oh boy, this is BDSM, but more the SM side of things. This is hardcore, and yeah, no, not a good starting place. So after being a touch traumatized about the romance book industry, I took a few years off. And when I did get back into it, I stumbled across Lauren Blakely, who has since become one of my favorite romance authors. I can't remember the name of the book that I first started with her. I'll put a picture up here. But it was just funny and fun and lighthearted, and there was a great roller coaster scene. And so that helped me overcome that trauma from early on. Really don't agree with the concept of banning books, but I kind of understand this one. Number 2, if you could be the heroine in a romance novel, who would be the author, and what's one trope you'd insist be in the story? Who would be the author? That's a good one. I would probably pick Tessa Dare. She has a sense of humor in her writing that I adore, and she writes sort of Regency historical romances, so I'd get to wear one of those really pretty dresses, and that would be cool. I would absolutely require that the forbidden romance trope be in the story, because I am trash for forbidden romance. Number 3, what's a romance you've read this year that you want more people to read? This one I'm going to pick Blind by Linda Michaels. And this is a book, I don't feel like it's gotten a lot of exposure. It's actually perma-free on Amazon, so you can download it free. And it's a completed story. This is one, if you like slow burn romances, this was so well done. This is one of the best slow burns I've ever read, and it was just it's like not quite a second chance romance because they were never together to begin with. He had a crush on her in high school, and they grew up, drifted apart, and she drunkenly puts an ad out for wanting a dom, and he, having never been a dom, just sees this chance to relive this sort of high school crush and have a chance with her. It's good. It's also funny. Angst galore, humor galore, and just he's a complete geek. Okay, he's a complete geek, and I love this so much. Number 4, what's your favorite romance subgenre, and what genre have you not read much from? I guess I mostly read contemporary. It's mostly where I spend my time. I'll read a little bit of fantasy. I read very little paranormal romance. The vampire werewolf thing, it's got to be well done for me to really get into it, and there's got to be something else going on. It's just not something that's ever really I'm ungrasped. I have not been grasped. Number 5, who is your auto-buy romance authors? This would probably be Lauren Blakely, and I also keep a close eye on Jana Aston. Jana, if the main storyline sounds appealing, I know I'll like it from her because she has a sense of humor I enjoy, and I like her story structures. Lauren Blakely, solid story structure. It's always good. I don't think she's ever really been a consistent 4 and 5 star for me, but it's always good. It's always a solid 3 star at least. And she's got a pretty good sense of humor. So these are my 2. I wouldn't say I'm still looking for an auto-buy romance author. So comment below if you have one. Number 6, how do you typically find romance recommendations? So I do watch a lot of BookTube. I watch The Naughty Librarian. She often has a lot of. The woman can read. God, her read list is an insane number of books all the time. I'm jealous. But mostly where I find my new books is when I'm just scrolling through Kindle Unlimited. That's where I get most of my romance books. It's $10 a month, and I can type in whatever keyword I want and search by, I can filter it by Kindle Unlimited, and that's normally where the recommendations will pop up. Amazon's gotten pretty good at figuring out what I'll enjoy, so I'll often go with their recommendations. Number 7, what is an upcoming romance that you're excited for? I have no idea. I think because I really don't have a solid list of auto-buy authors, I don't really pay much attention to what's coming out. I'm more interested in what I can read right now. Number 8, what is one misconception about romance you would like to lay to rest? What really bugs me most about assumptions about the romance genre is that it's something that shouldn't be taken seriously, either from the actual genre or from more of a business standpoint. It's seen as something kind of fringy and frivolous. Romance is the #1 genre sold, period. I believe it accounts for over a third of all books marketed to adults. All books, that's more than thrillers, that's more than mysteries, that's more than any other genre, period. And it annoys me when it's seen as something less than. Now, I'm not going to pretend that most romance books aren't kind of, fluffy and frivolous, but most books are kind of fluffy and frivolous. However, just because it is a romance doesn't mean that it is fluffy and frivolous. I've read romance novels that have changed my mind about political issues. I have read romance novels that have informed me about social issues. I have read romance novels that introduced me to entire worlds I didn't even know existed, that had nothing to do with the romance portion of the book. Romance was simply the main plot, but there was other stuff going on. And yeah, it's not stupid. Number 9, who is the most recent romance reading content creator, that's a mouthful, you have come across that you would like to shout out? This would be Stephanie from Steph's Romance Book Talk. I just came across her. Another booktuber I follow recommended her, and I can't remember who it was, but she's pretty cool. She takes more of an in-depth review of the plot lines of her romance books, and she's got a lot of other content in there. She recently did one about, she has a lot of e-readers, and she was comparing the different e-readers and what the functions and things were. It's pretty cool. I like the way she does her videos. Number 10, if someone had never read a romance before and asked you to recommend the first 3 romances that came to mind as places to start, what would you recommend? This is actually really hard. So I would probably ask what genres they already enjoy and then look for a crossover, but not having that information. The first one I would recommend are the Sookie Stackhouse mystery novels. This is book 3 because I have loaned out books 1 and 2 to various friends. This is so much fun. If you're familiar with the HBO show True Blood, these are the books that that show is based on. There are 13. I've read 11, and I'm so sad that I only have 2 books left. So these are heavy on the romance, but it's modern day. It's based in a small southern town, except that this is 2 years after vampires have come out of the coffin, as it were. So vampires are known to exist, and it's funny, it's sexy, it's pure southern, and I love it so much. It is so incredibly charming, and these books are like candy. I'll read one in a day. They're like candy, and I'm so sad there are only 13. The second book I would choose would be Off Limits by Eric Morgan. So this is distinctly more literary. This was an exercise in, how do I even describe this? So this is a fictional professor-student romance, but the book specifically tackles the ethics of this sort of relationship, of age gap relationships, of relationships with vastly different power dynamics. And it's written to the standards of a modern erotic romance novel. And it's an erotica, but it's also social commentary, and it talks about the power dynamics. It talks about feminism. It talks about anti-fraternization policies. It talks about consent, and this was good. This is definitely one of my top, for sure. This was a thinking book. Now I will say that this was, and he talks about it in the back, but this was an essay, sort of. This hasn't really gone through like a professional editor. He wrote it as an exercise and threw it up, and it kind of caught on. People liked it. But so there are typos, there are things like that, but it's not egregious, and highly recommended for anyone interested in those sorts of topics. And the last one is back to a slightly lighter note. I just read this one. I got this from a library sale. This is One Night of Scandal by Teresa Meder by her. I'm bad with names. So this is every trope of historical Regency romances made fun of, but also done well. So this was a lot of fun. There is over-the-top drama to every little thing that happens, and it's hilarious, and there is so much sarcasm, and it is wonderful. And it's definitely on the lighter end of the heat scale, so technically it's erotica, but very, very, just barely erotica. So it's solid romance and lots of fun. So that's all 10 questions, and that's all from me today. I want to tag Cassie from Treat Yo Shelf. She is a brand new booktuber, and she mostly does romance and talks about romance, and I would love to see her do this tag. Cassie, I hope you do it. You and your little bird too. Talk to me in the comments. What is your favorite romance novel? Give me suggestions. I want more. I'd love to hear from you. Until then, bye-bye. Number 8. There is a truck. School bus. There is a chicken in the background. I don't know what I was thinking.